Good morning. Thank you so much for being out at the field with me today. I wanted to focus in on a really specific part of our planting operation. So you'll see we've got two things behind me. We have got a trailer, it's full of liquid. Then we also have our planter tractor, John Deere 8335R, and we've made some modifications to it, okay? We added the little box on the front to pick things up, put things in. But the big modification we've made is adding these two big tanks on the outside. There are supports that hook up straight to the tractor's frame, and each one of these guys holds 500 gallons. So when we're going through the field, we are carrying at any time around 1,000 gallons of liquid. So today, we got out to the field, and we knew this when we finished up late last night. We are out. You hear that? That is empty. So we need to refill it. We do not own this trailer. This comes out, we buy the 1034O, that's starter fertilizer, that's the liquid in here, from the local co-op, and so they pull out a trailer to us. So when this is empty, we can return that straight to them. There's a little fill point up here, so we'll attach the hose from this trailer onto our tanks, and then the plumbing goes underneath the tractor and back here. Back here we have our John Deere 1720 planter. It is a 16 row. So we've got a fertilizer in these tanks. It comes back and runs through pump back there, runs through more hoses, and each of them are getting consecutively smaller and smaller and smaller. Finally, they go through these rate controllers, which is talking to our computers in the cab, and runs each line individually to each row. So the starter fertilizer is coming out at the specified rate, right through here, comes out right there, and that is right next to the seeds that we are putting in the ground.
Oh, it's a bumblebee.
Little bumblebee.
Whoa.
Oh my goodness. Oh my goodness. So we need to fill up our tank.
I think it likes all the bright colors.
Nature. My goodness. We're really out here, aren't we?
Yeah.
All right, let's get this thing fired up. Stuff is still fertilizer, so it's pretty corrosive, so I'm going to avoid getting this on my clothes at all costs. Little quick connect right here. Pumped from that trailer into these tanks, and the tanks on either side are plumbed together, so when we're filling this one, the other side is filling as well. They're filling just about evenly, but if this one starts filling a little bit faster, then we'll just shut that valve down a little bit so that this one can get just as much. I was just standing here watching it go in, making sure everything was okay, and all of a sudden that little motor decides to sputter and die, and what do you know? It is completely out of gas. Reed, if you're watching this, really? You couldn't have filled it up with gas for me? Planting is satisfying, but in a very, very different way than harvesting. When you're going through the field and you're driving the combine and you are harvesting your crops, it's very much the fulfillment of an entire year's worth of work. And you are seriously seeing exactly the benefits of all of your labors pile up in the window behind you. Whereas in the window behind me, when I'm planting, I know all of the work that is yet to come in order to make this a successful crop. So in that sense, it's a little bit stressful, but it's satisfying in the sense that I can look and I know that I've planted from that tree line all the way to here, and I just need to go to that road. And I've got monitors where the colors are filling in nicely. Like, let's zoom out for just a second here. The colors is everywhere that I have planted. Isn't that nice? I did the end rows over here, and we'll just go back and forth until all of this is colored in. I ran out of seed, and while I'm back here refilling the planter, I thought I would show you exactly what I'm planting. So we're planting corn right now, and you probably have never heard of this brand. It's Prairie Valley, and this is corn that was grown specifically for my area. I have never tried this corn before. Usually I grow different brands, but Grant and I like to try new things out and see what works best for our farm. And this corn was specifically grown in this area to be planted in this area. So meant for these conditions, meant for this soil, meant for our weather. And so I'm really excited to see what this corn does. So thank you Prairie Valley, and thank you Aurora Co-op. Aurora Co-op does our spraying, they spread our dry fertilizer, and they also help us with crop scouting. That's who owns this trailer here. And we could not be the farmers that we are today without them. So thank you, and I guess stay tuned through harvest to see how Prairie Valley Seed does. I realize that sounds kind of scripted and like that was paid promotion, but it's not. I paid for this seed with my own hard-earned dollars paid for this 1034 starter fertilizer, and I pay for them to apply all of my chemicals and my fertilizer. They're just really helpful, and I really like the guys that work there. So, not sponsored, we just really like them. Look at this. All filled in. There's where the pivot goes. We plant at a slightly lower population where the red and the orange is, because the pivot doesn't hit that, but we got the field done. Now it's time to fold up and move on. It is, my watch died. I think it's like 6 p.m. right now, and I think the plan is to go until we run out of seed or fertilizer tonight. We still have plenty of fuel, so just time to fold up. Let's get the wings going up and move on. I always feel when the wings are folded up, I must look like some kind of flying insect. So we planted until about 10:30 last night, went home, finally ate dinner, and came out here about 6 this morning because we had to adjust our row cleaners. Like I said, we started on a new field last night, and this field we did something a little bit different with. And I actually filmed what we did to this field. So this was about a month ago, so I'm gonna cut you back to what we did to this field that's totally different than anything else we've ever done to any of our other fields. We have an exciting day ahead of us. We are out on Grant and I's new fields, new to us. This dirt has been here long before us. We just started renting it last year. This is the field that we came out, we disked everything up, and we have not ridged it. There is no rows like this out there. We planted corn here last year, and we're trying out something a little bit different on this field. We have our neighbor out here, and today we are strip tilling this field. He is out here in his 8270R Series John Deere tractor with LSW tires that our good friends at Titan's put on. I believe Harvey, the man himself, put this on. And he has an Orthman One Tripper, I believe it's called. We've worked with Orthman on a couple other different things. Grant and I do not own this setup. This is his setup. We are paying him, I believe, $24 an acre to do this for us. How many gallons the acre are we putting on?
35.
And we're hitting that target pretty consistently?
Oh yeah.
What are you using for fuel on a job like this? What are we burning per acre?
It's like little under a gallon an acre.
Little under a gallon of fuel an acre. Okay.
Yeah, like 0.9 maybe.
It's not too bad.
That's not too bad.
Not too bad at all. Now that was just straight up cool. What a fun operation to watch. I definitely want to be a farmer who is always trying new things, and this is a new thing for us. And so I'm really excited to see if this works well for our operation, and only time will tell. So we'll revisit this field. The next operation that we're going to be doing in it is planting. So we'll see how this works out. Also, thank you, Logan, for the ride and for your services. You are a good neighbor and a really good equipment operator, and I really enjoyed talking to you. So since the conditions were very different on this field than any of our other fields, because it had been strip tilled, we had to do a lot of adjustments to our planter. This field had also been disked last year, and so just a lot fluffier soil conditions on top, and so we took out a lot of our downforce, which is how much pressure that the planter is applying on the bar. We just don't need that much force to get the seed that 2 inches into the ground. And then we completely raised up our row cleaners. So the row cleaners are no longer scraping a bunch of stuff off the top because we've got a very clean place to put our seed in. But now it's starting to rain. It's not raining enough to even really call it raining, but it is raining enough to make everything very dirty. We're still kicking up dust, but water is dripping off the front of the cab. In theory, we can continue planting in these conditions, especially since the ground is still technically dry.
It's so dry outside.
It is very, very dry outside. We've been in a drought for the last couple years. We do not get a lot of rain. So on one hand, we would love if it would just downpour, if we could get like a solid inch, especially because we had to start up pivots yesterday to start watering in our pre-emergent spray. But on the other hand, if it rains any more than it is right now, we will not be able to plant anymore because stuff's going to start balling up behind the planter.
When she says ball up, that means like, so we have all those little things turning in the ground and they just start, this mud starts caking on like a snowball, and like then the depths are wrong and everything's not getting deep enough or too deep or shallow.
It can really mess some stuff up.
But look how dirty the tractor is.
The tractor and planter is going to be in need of a serious bath after today. It looks horrible.
Dirty day out in the field this morning.
This is already, I don't want to call it a budget setup because I am very grateful for our tractor and planter. It is pretty nice, all things considered. But compared to the latest and greatest, it's really not that nice. But when you make it dirty like this, it looks so much worse. It's kind of funny. Little splatters of rain coming down. This is exactly what I was talking about. We cannot continue planting in these conditions. Oh, that's so frustrating. So it's now rained enough that the top layer of dirt, see how it's all wet, how it's sticking to your boot? So it's dry underneath, but it's just tacky enough on top to be a problem. Those gauge wheels right there, that's what's making sure that our seed is going in at the right depth. Not too deep, not too shallow. When dirt balls up on those, it's not letting the seed get all the way into the ground. It's putting another inch onto those wheels, and we just can't plant like that. So I think we're going to have to call it for today. You hate to quit, but man, it's just so dry. We need that moisture so badly. The rain cleared up, and unfortunately the wind also picked up, but it means that we were able to get back in the field, which is really nice.
Dried the dirt out.
Because the wind straight just blew the rain away and blew that top layer of moisture that we got, just dried it right up. We're watching rain clouds way over there in the distance, but none for us. But that does mean that in the next couple passes, we are going to be done with corn planting. That doesn't mean done with planting. We still have many acres to go because we haven't put a single soybean seed in the ground yet. Nope. So we ran out of seed, dumped a bag of corn in. We still have another bag waiting. So we're good on our seed supply. We should be able to finish up. Grant, how are you feeling?
Good. Planter's been working great. Last year we lost a bunch of gauge wheels and stuff was falling off the planter, so I got everything extra tight this year and I've had no problems. Besides wiring.
We've had a couple wiring issues, but
was-
we've gotten them resolved fairly quickly, and it was
User
user error. So
Turns out if you don't tuck the wires up in there and they rub on the wheels, they wear through and then they short out.
and then stuff doesn't work. It's funny how that happens. So stay tuned. In the next 20 minutes, we're going to be done with corn planting.
Chief is a family-owned, Nebraska-based company comprised of 7 diverse brands. Chief, trusted, tested, true.
Coming to an end. Oh, this is so satisfying to watch. You get to pick. You can watch it in yellow and red, or green, or blue.
Or in real life.
Or, oh yeah, or in real life. You can't just look out the front window here and see. We planted all the end rows and we're
My favorite part, ready?
ready. Oh, that's satisfying. That's nice.
Okay, here it is. Are we gonna run out of seed?
I-
She's in the yellow, we're running out.
Made it through.
There it is.
That's corn planting for 2024, folks. On to soybeans. It has been quite the roller coaster of a day. Thank you so much for sticking with us through this. If you want to see how corn planting went last year, you're going to want to watch this video right here. I really appreciate you guys riding along with us. Grant, you did a good job.
Thanks.
We make a really good team. And we'll see you guys in the next one. Bye.
Bye.
You're kidding me. Grant's folding up the planter. What is that, a cylinder? Oh, you're kidding.
That was nice. It's all over the window.
You thought the day was over. I guess we've got stuff to fix now. Grant, what? Could you explain to the audience what just happened here?
Perfect timing. Well, I mean, if it was to happen anywhere, I'm glad it's happening now, but I don't know if the hydraulic hose fitting just came loose or it somehow ruptured, but I got it folded up so we can go home, because when it's folded out, I can't drive down the road, so I would have been stuck here until we got it fixed. So hydraulic fitting is just leaking, but
Okay.
it's up there.
But we got it up, so now we can take it back to the shop and fix it.
Well, it's gonna make a giant mess when we unfold it.
Oh my goodness. What a mess.
I might try to fix it. Oh, it's probably the hose end. Anyway.
Stay tuned for the fixing. Once we get a field planted, it's time for the co-op to come in and do a pre-emergence spray. This video clip that you're going to watch next was filmed after we planted this field, but before the rain in this video came. Good morning, everybody. We are starting the morning out at one of our fields, and we are doing some pre-emergence spraying on it. So all of our work that we've been doing on the pivots has been leading up to this. We got this field planted, we got this pivot serviced and ready to run, and so we are going to have the co-op guys come out and spray it. They're filling up right now. They're going to go over the acres that we just planted, and we're going to be preemptively getting rid of any weeds that could be stealing nutrients and sunlight, valuable soil space from our crops. We planted corn out there. The only thing I want coming up out of the ground is corn. Paid a lot of money for this ground, for the seed, for the fertilizer, for all the irrigation that's been going over it, and I don't want any nasty, noxious weeds coming up. So I'm going to be going over every acre with this sprayer here, and I think they're going to let me go for a ride up in the cab. This sprayer that you see behind me is a John Deere R4045. These things are very pricey. That is why Grant and I don't own our own. We hired a co-op to come out and do it for us so that we don't have to take on the risk associated with owning this machine, and we don't have to pay for it. It's got 120-foot booms, as you can see spread out behind me here, so we can cover so much ground at one time. You can also go pretty fast in this thing. I'm pretty sure you can go over 10 miles an hour when you're spraying fields. Those big blue tanks you see on the semi-trailer hooked up to a semi-truck up there, this is their mobile filling station. Most of what gets sprayed through this sprayer is water. There's a very, very small percentage of what's going on in the field that's actually chemical. Those big blue tanks are water, and I would venture to say about 90 to 95% of what's in that tank right there is water as well. That's just our agent to get a small bit of chemical that we need out through the booms right here. If you don't take care of weeds right away, they will take over your entire field, and eventually we'll be left with no room to plant our crops, especially since we don't do any kind of tillage. We just do that root slicing. If we let weeds take over our field, eventually we would have to move to those more deep tillage versions, and we're just trying to keep our soil as undisturbed as possible. So the cab that you guys see in here is going to feel pretty familiar. John Deere does a really good job at making their cabs borderline interchangeable between all their different machines. But we're sitting in the sprayer right now. This should look a lot like the dry fertilizer spreader machine that you guys saw me ride in just a couple weeks ago. It's got those booms out the back like that, the tank on behind us, nice big cab with a lot of visibility, and all those same monitors that you see in the tractor and the combine. Once you learn how to run one John Deere machine, they're all pretty much the same. I hope you enjoyed today's video, and we will see you in the next one. Bye!